Hello. Good morning. Um, so today we are going to be talking about Agile using data science. So something that I can see immediately is kind of our status. We've completed the obtain workflow. And here, there was actually a new card that was created over the past week. And the reason why this card was created is because there was an assignment or a story that needed to be here, drop unnecessary data. Um, to deal with this, we had to obtain additional data, and so that obtaining was a little bit outside of the scope. So here we have a new card. It was completed. However, I didn't adjust the story points. So there we go. And we completed that task. Now, there's a lot still left in this sprint. However, this evaluate data types, clean column names, manage NANs, manage duplicates, manage infinite numbers. Those are very short to do type items. And, some of this stuff will take not very long. So I'm hopeful that the sprint can wrap up probably by the end of next week. It might have been a little ambitious to add everything that we added in. I just really want to get through the scrubbing to get through to the Explorer, because that's when you really start to see any characteristics about the data that you have. Okay, so we adjusted story points here. However, for story points, I don't think, I think we have the create treatment plan story points in there, and I think that's it. I don't think we have any of the other story points in this sprint. See, right now it says that there's 0 to spend. So I think we need to add 2 story points, 4 story points, 6 story points, 10, 14, hold on, 2, 4, 6, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26. Okay, we didn't even go that far. You know what? I'm going to add another list, and we're going to create a new sprint. That's just really overwhelming to look at. And we're going to call this for next week, starting on the 20th. And now I'm curious how good Trello is at some stuff. Can I pull this? I can. That's fantastic. I just want to pull all of the statistics sprints into later, and even this external data source. I kind of want to pull that into later as well. I just want to get through this scrubbing information in the next week. So with that said, we have 6, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26. Yeah, with all of these other story points, like, wow. Okay, so 24 plus 26 is 50. This is why, even though a task might not be a huge task, it might just take some additional time. That's why story points are important. It's because it helps with that particular workload. So this I'm going to change to the 20th as well. We're just going to push this stuff out. I apologize if you heard my cat meowing very loudly and rudely in the background. He does not approve of my time on the computer. Okay, so we have our sprint updated. You can see that these are starting to fade a little bit because they haven't been opened or adjusted or changed anything in over a week. And then we know that not all of these tasks have story points, so, or even labels, or even, wow, or even anything. This is a code thing, it's a to-do thing, it's a story thing, it's for the data scientist. Here, as a data scientist, I want to create a pipeline for gathering external data and creating new features so that if this task needs to be scaled to a different experiment, a different, let's say, research experiment. Let's say the researcher finds out that they didn't get the results that they wanted, so they added concentration in one direction, or they changed the interval of concentration, or they just went and repeated a trial at a different point in time to ensure that results were repeated, something like that. Different research trials, let's put it that way. Time to train and test a new model with the additional data is reduced. Our acceptance criteria is when I review the PI file to execute. Pre-processing, there is a function that addresses external data and creating new features. Those would probably be two different functions. So I'm just going to put there are functions that address external data and creating new features. This is something that I've gotten into the habit of doing because sometimes I end up retraining because I realize I want to use a different hyperparameter, or I myself have realized that there's a piece of data in the data set that doesn't need to be there and I need to drop it. And this just helps so much. Instead of having to, hit Shift Enter 50 million times in a Jupyter notebook, you just throw everything into a PI file and hit run once and it compiles everything. That's really what I'm looking for. Story points. Something like this is a pretty significant task, especially if you want to make sure that everything is in big O notation. You're basically having to test and ensure that what your pipeline creates is the same as what you've been creating in your Jupyter notebook the whole time. Execute or evaluate transformations for each feature. This is going to be like a 16. And the reason why I say that is because once you do your transformation, you want to run your statistics again to make sure that certain things have changed, but other things have not. To see if the transformation is effective. That's evaluating. Then executing transformation. This is a little bit easier. I'm going to put this at a 4. Whenever I see this, like we're picking one transformation and then kind of setting it up to go into a pipeline. So we're completing the transformation and then setting up a function that will execute that same transformation. And sometimes you might need to do some additional calculations to bring in a parameter for some transformation. Split data into targets and features. This is a really easy task. Scikit-learn takes care of this for us. Actually, no, scikit-learn does not take care of this for us, but we set up a variable called target and one called features, and we put the column names for targets and for features into them. Scikit-learn does this test train validation. Then create a pipeline for transformations in splits. As a data scientist, I want to create a pipeline. Sounds like music has stopped. Yeah. So this is again, so that time to retrain a model is reduced. So that time, and I'm also going to say complexity. Sometimes you're moved to another project. Sometimes you end up not being there we go. Okay. Sometimes you end up leaving your position, getting transitioned to a different project. And whenever that happens, you want whoever moves into your project, you want your code to be clean and easy to follow so that they can troubleshoot and monitor bugs and stuff appropriately. So this here, our acceptance criteria is going to be when I view the PI file that compiles pre-processing. I want to see functions that address transformations and our train test. Well, it's not even just train test, it's targets targets and features split, and our train test validation splits. This is not going to be terribly difficult because Well, I guess we have to bring in like all of the statistics and stuff that we were doing up here for transformations. Um, this is very much a code to do a story data scientist uh, kind of type label. You know what? I've been forgetting to start my timers. I can see that because here all of these are done, but not all of them have times. So I'm going to have to remember to be a little bit better about starting that whenever I'm on streams. Okay, so there we go. We've got some tasks in our that's I know that this has been a extremely short stream today. I've been live for like 20 minutes, but that's honestly the only thing that I can do at this point in time. I really don't want to get into modeling as much yet because I don't want to get too far ahead in the project and just be waiting forever. I already feel like this is like maybe a month's worth of work set up in this Trello space. So at this point, as a manager, what I would do to support my data science team is I would, I would ask if everybody's okay with the current tasks that they have. I would ask them if they want to make adjustments or rewrite any of the stories because they didn't necessarily make sense when they were reviewing them, or adjust some of the acceptance criteria, ask if anybody needed any training or assistance in completing their tasks, and move on from there. But I hope that this helps out with story points. Note that the only remaining story points are for this current sprint. So, yeah, the size that we have does include the previous sprint, but we have spent to complete that so far 24 points. And so, as you can tell, we're through half of the tasks here. And if we were to add the story points the amounts don't get smaller as you go on. In a data science project, they usually get a lot bigger until we get to this interpret section. Just because there's so much thinking and testing, and I think a lot of people seriously underestimate how much statistics are in a data science workflow. Something that we could do is we could go back and add in some other users. Right now, most of our stuff comes from the data scientist. We have a few statisticians. We have, I think, one or maybe two researchers. But I kind of want to go back through and add in stories from those other user perspectives and kind of scatter them throughout the Obtain, Scrub, and Explore that's been completed so far for data scientists. But that is not something I want to dive into today. Basically, what my goal in today was to show up, make some minor adjustments, and then continue on next week. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the comment section whenever this video gets posted. And I hope that y'all have a great afternoon. Oh my god, you can see my cat in frame. That's hilarious. I do want to get him a little box that's going to go right there so he can hang out with me whenever I'm on my computer. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.